All right, I have an exciting one. Knives, knives, knives. I have Luke Johnson, the owner, founder of Tyto Knives, on today to talk about hunting, western big game hunting, whitetail hunting, and knives. So, Luke, how you doing, man?
Good, good, good.
Dude, so me and Luke did some product trading. It's one of the cool things about like the industry is a lot of guys will trade products, and I'm a big replaceable blade guy. Honestly, I use a Havilon for a long time, and I carry like a light fixed blade knife. And I tell Luke that, and he sends me a kit, and I'm like, never need to carry another knife again. Like he sent me like a fixed blade and a replaceable blade knife, and I was like, this does everything I need to do. Like I'm very simple with my stuff, and I also carry a. We'll get that later what I carry, but I also carry a multi tool. But like those two knives are so light and they're perfect for what I need. Like I do most of my work with a replaceable blade, right? Most of it. But then like when I get in the joints and stuff, like we say rear ball joint on a deer, I really like to use a fixed blade just because you break them, right? You break the
Yeah,
knives off, or if I'm doing the neck, right? Trying to take the head off. I like to use a fixed blade to get in there and do that, right? There's a certain areas where a fixed blade is nicer and better, and I feel like this kit you sent me like is perfect.
yeah. I mean, that was the idea of it. There's a place for a replaceable blade knife, and there's a place for a fixed blade knife. Just like you explained, you get into prying of any kind, so you're going to pop a ball
Mm.
joint out or something like that. You definitely aren't going to be doing that with a replaceable blade. Um, I mean, and just to be in the woods to have a fixed blade knife is a good idea, right? There's going to be a lot of things you can use that for that you're not going to be able to use the replaceable blade knife for. So.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, honestly, on a deer, you kind of can get away with a replaceable blade knife. You are going to break it though. But like on an elk, dude, forget about it. You start getting into those joints on an elk, like especially with how much meat is there between the freaking, the I don't know how you call it, the top of the butt to the ball joint. You get in there, like it's just
Yeah,
too much. There's almost too much leverage and weight when you're trying to do that. Where it just snaps blades, and a fixed blade knife is necessary to have in your pack at all times.
yeah, agreed. Like you said though, with deer, I mean, what I've been doing, obviously out west and where it's legal, some places you can't actually do it, like in Minnesota. But at the end of the day, I debone everything in the field, and with a deer, all I use is a replaceable blade knife. I can
Yeah.
debone it 100%, get the head off, cape it if I'm going to do that. I can do all of it with a replaceable blade knife, and surprisingly, I can do it with one or two blades.
Yeah, that's me too. I'm like two blades now. It is pretty shocking when you do make that switch to blade number two, and you're like, "Oh, that's so nice." And
Oh yeah, once
these blades are really cheap. Why am I not doing this?
you start hitting hair and bone, and they get dull pretty quick. But nice to have a quick, easy change, and then you got another razor sharp blade right there. But yeah, once obviously we started Tito in 2016, and since then, I mean, the replaceable blades have been just phenomenal. I mean, that's all I use.
Is
Um,
it Tito, not Taito?
Originally, it's Tito. Everybody says Tito,
Everyone says Taito. Okay, so I'm not
and
the only one.
and
Okay,
that's fine. So whatever you want to call it, Tito, Tito, I'm good with it.
just buy knives. You don't care what you call it, as long as you buy the
Right
damn knife.
there you go. There you
Another
go.
thing that's cool is you also sent me orange. You asked what color do you want, and I was like orange, 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 because I'm like I don't know what happens when I put an animal on the ground, but somehow I just like lose knives. Like
Well,
everything in my pack is orange. Like all my small stuff, it has to be orange, right? Like my lighters, like my knives, because like when you're doing an animal and you set something down on a rock, like you just can't remember where it was, and you make a full orange lineup, which I thought was pretty sweet.
yeah, no, we've done orange is obviously the top seller. I mean, everybody wants orange. We've done bright green, which I like too. That
Bright green's
still
cool.
gets lost a little bit. Um, like a neon pink is also really good. You don't lose that. So we've done a few runs of those before. But
Yeah.
yeah, you get an animal on the ground, you're already excited. Everything comes out of your pack. You start working on it, and next thing you know, you lose everything. We've all done it before. I mean, a big thing that I do too is like I have big plans to take a bunch of pictures of knives and getting them used and whatever. You get all excited, you take some pictures, field photos of your animal, and then you walk away and you're like, I didn't take any pictures. I didn't do anything I wanted to do. But everybody gets excited, it gets chaotic, and definitely lose stuff in those situations. So.
Dude, content is king. I started bringing a filmer on most of my hunts now to
Yeah.
film and get content for me because like when I try and do if I'm hunting, it's all over. Like I filmed my kids hunt this year and it actually turned out pretty good. Like filmed the whole thing myself. I really enjoyed it. I actually kind of enjoy photography. I'm learning that by myself. Like I kind of enjoy it. But having someone there just be like, hey, your job is to get content of all this stuff, night and day difference. Like
Oh
because
yeah.
they're there to do it, you know, and I'm like there to like find an animal. Like once I go into like kill mode or find mode, like I don't want to be sitting there like, hey, let me set my tripod up to film myself. Like I know Remy and those guys used to do like the solo hunter stuff, and I'm like, dude, I don't know how you did that.
I
I don't
mean,
know.
I'm the exact same way. I got into photography quite a bit myself. I don't know, probably 5, 6 years ago, and some of those first hunts, I was like, had all my camera stuff in my pack. I'd be hunting for myself, trying to take pictures, trying to do all that, and it's just tough. And once you get, like you said, you get locked in, you get a goal. Like I want to put all that stuff away and focus on what I'm doing. The nicest part, the most fun I've had doing that is after I get an animal down and I can just go help other people hunt. Then the camera comes out and then you
Yeah,
can really get some good
yeah,
footage.
100%. I actually really enjoy it. I need to take some classes though, because I feel like being around guys like you and like Schneider and Luke Duesenberg, like these guys, you guys are so good at pictures. Like you sent me a picture last night, and I was like, dude, like that looks so freaking good. Like I need to like take a class and like figure this out. Like, I can learn my
Yeah, I
the
mean,
apertures get me, man. Like the apertures stuff like that. But
I got it. Like I said, I took a deep dive into it and I listened to podcasts for
did you?
years and just messed around with it. And it's kind of like, it seems to me like once you kind of understand what your style is, and then you can get some settings like and just adjust them a little bit for
Mm-hmm.
how light it is out, if you got snow on the ground and that kind of thing, then you can kind of roll. But yeah, there's a lot. It's like anything. It's like archery. Like you
Yeah,
start
dude.
diving down the rabbit hole and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, there's a lot that goes into this. A
Dude,
lot more than it looks like on the surface. You're not just snapping photos, that's for sure.
I just picked up PRS and because I'm starting to build PRS and NRL like shooting tripods and stuff and coyote
Okay.
tripods and like so I've been in the range 4 days this week and like I'm like I don't know when I'm gonna shoot my bow again. Like how am I gonna shoot my
Yeah.
bow when I'm doing having to practice it? It's just like one of those things where you get into it and it just takes you away. I do kind of want to. I want to hear about Tito. Sorry, I want to hear about Tito and how it started, but I kind of want to hear you talk about deboning and like you get a deer on the ground. I want to hear your process. I know my process. I want to hear you got him on the ground, debone that thing out. I'm doing it now in like probably 20 to 30 minutes. Getting an animal,
Yeah.
not deboned, but animal apart. Like, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I just lay it on one side, go straight from the base of the skull down to the tail. And then what
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing is make another cut in the skin, like halfway down the body. So it separates into two. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Skin it as far back as you can. Um, Obviously, if you're going to try to cape an animal out, you got to be super careful towards the fronts. And what I've been doing with that is I'll cut like a circle at the knee on the skin and
Mm-hmm.
just like sleeve it out and not even make those cuts up the
Yeah.
back. Um, so I'll do that, get the skin off of one side, and then I just separate in the muscles and just find those separations and just like start chunking off like roast sized pieces. Um,
Oh, while the legs are on the deer, you're not
no, I
pulling
don't
legs
even
off the
pull the
deer.
legs off the deer. It's nice when you
Oh,
have
oh I
somebody
want to hear about
else.
this.
When you have somebody else, excuse me, it helps a lot because they can lift that leg straight up and
Mm-hmm.
then you just
Mm-hmm.
have that meat hanging there and you can work on it. So
Really?
just get to the bone. Like the backs, I think the backs are a little bit easier. It's hard to work around, the very back, by the anal cavity because it gets a little tight back there. But you get that leg straight up. If you can have somebody else lift it, you can just chunk off like roast sized pieces if you can find all those muscles. And then I've been cutting it off straight off the bone and leave the bone on, and you can do a pretty dang good job. I got to the point where I can get all the meat without taking that leg off. And then get the front quarter done, get the back quarter done, and then get that back strap out on one side, and then flip the whole deer,
You you going in boneless right behind the spine and grabbing out the
Tenderloin.
tenderloin.
I do that after everything's done.
Okay. Okay.
So after all the rest of the meat's done, it just seems like it opens up some more space in there where you can kind of move the
Yeah.
guts around and they're not pushing up against it.
Mhm.
So yeah, do that on one side, get that back strap off, flip it over, do the same thing on the other side. Then I go for the tenderloins, just try to push those guts down so you don't poke them and get those, because if you do that, it's all over for those tenderloins.
Yeah, getting a
In
little
my
yellow on them.
opinion, I don't want to eat them if they get covered in guts. Get those out, and then just go up to the head and skin that head all the way up as far as you can, like even to the back of the ears. And then I just find that separation in the first piece of that spinal column, and you can wedge a knife in there and just wiggle that head around and wedge
Yep.
a knife in there, and then
Spin it a couple times, give it a couple
maybe
spins.
spin it. Sometimes you don't have to if you do it real well, and off you go. So,
I
and
always
then
like,
whatever, keep some of that. If you're going to keep the cape on, or just cut off whatever you have to, and off you go. So,
that's pretty
but
slick, man. You know what I would recommend too? Maybe is you probably could take a tripod and hold that leg up if you have to, if no one's there with you.
yeah,
Do that. I do elk with two trekking poles. Like if it's just like, 'cause even with two dudes, like just doing an elk is just a workout. You feel like you just did
oh yeah,
CrossFit. Like I'll do two trekking poles, like like X them, like wrap the handles, like old school like shooting sticks. And I'll put the leg underneath that to get up in there and kind of hold it up a little bit. But yeah, having a partner makes it so much better.
oh yeah. We had last year. I went Wyoming elk hunt, rifle elk hunt, and killed a nice bull out there. But we had 3 guys working on it, and we had 2 of us skinning and quartering, and then our third guy just had a tarp on the ground, and we'd
Mhm.
get a quarter off, throw it on the tarp, and then he'd start working on it on the tarp. That's
Gotcha.
kind of how we did that. But yeah, trying to manhandle an elk with one person, I think you'd want to cut that quarter off maybe and get it somewhere else before you start working on it. But
Yeah, I've
for a
never.
deer, I mean,
Yeah,
you can do it.
I'm gonna
One
try
guy.
it. I'm gonna try it. I mean, I did like 8 of them this year. I never did it like that. Like I feel impressed like how fast I get them apart now.
Yeah.
But like that sounds really cool to do it like that. Are you
And I mean, if you're gonna pack it out and you don't have to pack the bones out, whatever your regulations are there, it's nice to just have the meat in your pack.
Yeah, I have deboned, but I've always taken it off and deboned. So I always have like a contractor's trash bag in my backpack.
Hmm.
I'll use it like if I'm backpack hunting, I'll put all my gear in it outside the tent. But if I get an animal down, I'll slice it and lay it out into a tarp, and then I'll use that to put my stuff on. Right. So I
Yeah,
always
there
have
you go.
that. And like I feel like a contractor's bag like is so invaluable like in the hills. Like I found so many ways to use it. It just comes in handy. I really like it outside the tent. Like this all the gear that's in your backpack that you don't need to bring in the tent with you. Just throw in
Yeah,
that contractor's bag and throw it outside. And then it doesn't get rained on or snowed on, whatever. It's just in that contractor's bag. And then for doing an animal, I'll just slice that sucker and
yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah,
use it for a tarp.
yeah. I usually have those contractor bags with me, or a piece of Tyvek or
Tyvek.
something.
Yeah.
Throw in my kill kit. So yeah, that works great.
So I always have like in my kit a fixed blade. I have 3 knives in theory because
Okay.
I have a multi-tool. I have a fixed blade, a really light fixed blade, a replaceable blade, and then I have my multi-tool. And I carry like the heaviest, like the Leatherman Wave, because it has like I have the little toolkit for it. I can put all the hexes, the freaking star wrenches, everything on it to work on anything in the field. And one of the most valuable things for me, a multi-tool must have a saw. That saw, I use that saw all the time. And what I do now is like my kids like to take the heart out. My wife likes the liver. I'll just cut a hole in the rib cage and dig in and grab the heart out like that, and just pop two or three ribs and just break those things out of there, and then just going that way rather than having to go in through. It's one of the hard things about going. I used to go gutless, then I'd be like, oh, I gotta get the heart, and then I'm freaking not going gutless anymore because I'm digging into this thing to grab the heart out. So I just
Yeah.
started cutting a hole right in the side of that thing and grabbing the heart out of there.
That's a pretty slick way to do it, because I've always just made a cut in the diaphragm and then go in that way and
Dude,
still don't gut it, but then you end up with 2 hands in a
in the guts.
cavity with a
Yep.
knife, and that's just recipe for disaster.
Dude, it's so easy to do it that way because you can actually like once they're like done, like you could go and just you cut like literally you go 2 ribs, like 2 ribs, maybe 3, and you just break those things off. Like when you get them right
Yeah,
along right along the back strap, right? Cut back, and they cut so quick with the multi tool, and just break those suckers, and you can just dig in there and grab the heart out. I think it's pretty
yeah.
nice. And
that's
you
a
almost
slick
could you almost
slick
could pull
move.
it out and cut it outside the deer sometimes.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
like, and you don't get all bloody and having to dive in there. I mean, the worst is doing an elk. You do an elk, you're basically like sleeping in the thing to get it hard out of it
Oh yeah.
from the diaphragm.
You're gonna be shoulder deep up in there.
Oh,
Like
dude,
it's
I've had, and especially shooting with a rifle, it's just full of blood. I mean, like
yeah.
sometimes you go and pour those. I like to sometimes just turn them upside down, let the blood drain out of them because it's just before I even get in there because it's like there's especially you get heart. I mean, it's like a gallon of blood in there.
Yeah. No, that's a good move. I guess switching gears kind of a little bit, but on that topic, that's one thing we are working on too. So
Saw blade.
a pretty cool saw. Yeah. I don't know if it's going to be a saw blade that necessarily fits on our knives, but we have a few different designs for field saws that would be good for, a saw at camp or a bone saw. So,
Yeah, because I'm starting to carry like a little folding saw, right? For like if I'm bringing my stove, which I never even brought this year because I got two titanium stoves this year, two back hot tents. Never used a hot tent once because it was 90 degrees on every one of my hunts this year up until
okay.
my last hunt of the year, which I brought my trailer on. Um, but I'm going to carry like a folding Home Depot saw, which a
Yep.
lot of guys do because you cut stuff down to do that, and like dude, some sort of a skeletonized version of that would be so nice, and not like the saw that you buy on the like that like no, I'm not gonna have one. They make a saw like a bone saw. Like not that's not a saw I'd want. Like I want something that's gonna be able to at least get through some wood, not break on me. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
so it's like you
Yeah.
guys,
We have a couple cool designs. I mean, I don't want to give out too much, but
yeah.
yeah, it would be something that would be pretty substantial that you'd be able to saw wood with and to collect wood for like a hot tent, and you'd be able to use it as a bone saw too.
Are you taking like I'll just say it on I don't care. Like I don't take my rib meat off my deers. There's just not enough there for me. Are you taking rib meat? Are
I
you
mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of work for a little bit
nothing?
of
You can get it
what you're
off
gonna
elk.
get
You can
out of
get it.
it.
I'll take the
So,
flank. I'll take the flank meat. I'll take. I
yeah,
mean, when I get done with my deer, it looks like there's nothing there. But the rib meat, like every time I try and cut it, I'm like, there's nothing here. It's like by the time you skin it off and it stretches back, it's like 3/8 of an inch wide. You're like, what am I going to do with this? Throw it
we've
in the
done
grinder.
we've taken full racks off a
I've done that.
deer,
Yeah.
like in Wisconsin where we whitetail hunt a little bit, me and a couple of my buddies, and done racks of ribs, and that was really good. But again, you get a whole rack of rib off a deer, like you're really not getting hardly any meat. I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I don't think it's worth it. Neck meat, obviously, there's quite a
Mhm.
bit there.
I get
That's
that.
worth it to grind and whatever you're gonna do. But no, I don't generally take the rib meat.
Yeah, I don't do the rib meat. I do the
It's
heart.
a
My
it's a
wife,
lot of effort for a little payoff.
I took the liver out of a couple of them this year. Probably livers, you got to kind of go in like through the cavity again, right?
Yeah,
Because my wife and all these hens at the church are all into like liver capsules and stuff right now,
yeah,
organic, blah
yeah,
blah blah. But I'm just like, yeah, half time I'm like, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it.
yeah. I don't generally take the liver. I do take the heart. I mean, that's
Yeah,
good meat there.
yeah. The
So
heart's great. I love doing the heart, man. Like I don't know what your heart recipe is, but like my heart recipe is always, I'll fillet the sucker out and then I'll dice it up real small, and I'll do like some onions and either jalapenos or bell peppers, depending on who I'm cooking it for. And just cook that up, dude. It's good.
oh yeah, it's really good. I've done tacos with them before. They're really
Yeah,
good.
yeah, that'd be good
It's
like
like
that too.
perfect for that. Just the I don't know, the dense grain of the meat. It's just unique, and I really like it myself. So
I mean,
I
honestly, you
always
can
try
just
to
throw it in
take
the
it.
grind pile too, and no one will ever know. So I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean
it's
that's
worth
true.
taking. It's meat
Yeah.
there. It's a big chunk of meat. Pound and a
Yeah,
half
I
or
mean, I
something.
have 8, and well, my daughter just turned 11, but it seems like burger is the big thing around us. So I usually take steaks, make a couple good roasts, and the rest of it ends up with burger. But it's something that we eat every single day. So
Yeah,
um,
my wife's the same way. She likes the grind, right? So she likes doing the tacos or whatever, or casseroles or whatever she's making. She uses the grind or burgers, right? But
yeah,
spaghetti, a lot of spaghettis and stuff like that. So she likes the burger meat. So we do a lot of burger meat. And I don't do. Are you processing your own stuff?
I mean, I have in the past. I'm to the point now where I just debone it, clean it, wrap it, and then generally I will come like January, February, when all of the meat processing places are slow, I'll just bring a bunch of grind meat and that kind of stuff in and have them make either grind it or make sticks or whatever. So, um,
Yeah.
but the days of bringing a whole animal in, I did that a few times when I was younger, and it's just a mess. Like, you don't even know if you get your own deer
Yo,
back.
yeah,
Like,
it's such a mess.
you
Yeah.
can imagine Minnesota deer opener and those meat lockers. It's just like, who knows what you're getting back, and they don't take care of it as good as I do. So I try to control it as much as I can. Like I said, debone it, clean it all up, wrap it, throw it in the freezer, and then I'll just bring 15 pounds in or whatever, and have them make it into burger sticks or whatever I want to do, summer sausage.
Yeah. So I was like 50-50 this year on doing it myself and bringing it in. I have a lady here in town. Depends. Like I was just traveling so much. And sometimes I'm just like, it's a
Yeah.
bread. It's a good half a day to do for me to go process, just setting everything up, cleaning everything up, just making the mess. But I do make my boys, my 18 and 16-year-old, they did all my stuff for me this year. That
Okay.
I did at home. So I'm like, hey, set it up. I paid for the hunt. You go do it. So he's actually in my office. My office used to be in granny flat. So we have a kitchen and I'll bring in some tables. If it doesn't look like some professional, I'd be embarrassed to show pictures of how we're doing our meat. But
Yeah.
we set the grinder up and they just go to town and grind it up and put
Yeah.
it in the tubes and do that thing. And but it is nice, man. Like the lady in town, it's there's something to be said about dropping your meat off and like she gets it done for me in a couple days, come back and
Yeah.
it's all done. It's like, oh, that was so nice. And it's like whatever.
Yeah.
I
I think
think a cruise deer is like $100 and a mule deer is like $200 something. I'm like $200 and I'm just done. Pretty
yeah.
nice.
If you can find somebody that you trust, like I said, and
Yeah.
it's controlled, and you have your clean meat that's going in there, and uh, like I said, my concern would be getting somebody else's meat or
Oh, dude.
having them not take care of it like you'd want to. I mean, I'm pretty particular cutting all the silver skin and crap off and
Yeah.
getting nice clean stuff and not just throwing a bunch of chunks of fat and junk in the grinder and getting that out,
Dude,
because
we killed 2 antelope opening day of antelope season in Wyoming, and we go to the processor. And I kid you not, it's like you back up. There's hooks. The hooks roll outside. You put your whole antelope in. If you bring it in, if you bring the hair on, they want it that way. If you bring it in pieces, they charge you more. So they want it hair on. So it's the first time I ever dropped an animal off. Like you literally just gutted it in the field and drove it down there. And you walk in that freezer and it is wall to wall with antelopes. I got my antelope back in 2 days and I'm like, there's no way this is my antelope, but whatever, it's cool. Like I'm just like, I'm good.
yeah,
Just go. But it was like we flew in, I put it into I use these things called kill bags. I don't know if you've seen this. My buddy owns this company called Kill Bags. And so in California, we do a lot of offshore fishing and we use these like fishing bags.
okay,
And so like I mean like 150 quart fishing bags, right? And they're foam, but they hold ice like a Yeti. And I'm like, you got to get these in the hunting space. You're seeing a ton of guys in the hunting space use them. Um, so like I had on that one, I had like my 36-inch wide by 6 kill bag, and I just got it processed through it in there and brought it home. Are you looking up kill bags right now?
yeah,
Oh, they're
yeah. I'm
phenomenal, dude.
interested.
You'll never go back to a cooler again. So I run their 60-inch kill bags on like my deer hunts. I can put like 2 mule deer in one. I can put a full elk into a 60-inch kill bag. And then the cool thing is like, I don't know about you, but a lot of times I don't kill animals on my hunts. Then I don't have a giant cooler the whole time running around. I just have this kill bag
Yeah,
in the back of my truck. And if I need it, I pull it out. And the cool thing about a kill bag is it actually molds to your animal, right? To where like if you have a square cooler, it's a square cooler. With a kill bag, you can kind of fit it into all the corners and everything, nooks and crannies, and then it fits in your truck better because it's not just a square box. So
yeah.
it's
That's I'm looking at it right now. That's a great idea.
they're
You get
phenomenal.
a whatever 120 Yeti 120 in the back of your truck, and it can ruin your day trying to move that thing
Oh, dude,
around.
the kill bag they weigh nothing. So like when I flew to say me and Brad Hunt flew to Hawaii this year to hunt axis deer, I brought 2 kill bags. I brought 260s with me. Um, so we actually put our stuff in the kill bag when we flew as like so one carry on, right? Or
Yep.
one. And then when we came back, we each put 100 pounds in each kill bag. So you can bring 100 pounds, paid the $75 or whatever. And we brought our meat back with us like that, done. But the kill bag weighs nothing. So if you're flying with a cooler, like a Yeti is going to weigh over 150 quart Yeti weighs more than 50 pounds. You can't fly
Oh
with
yeah,
that.
yeah,
A 150 quart kill bag weighs like 3 pounds. So you're not losing all that cooler weight when you fly. So it's like, so I've actually been getting him, like, I don't want to take credit for it, but I think like 20% of their sales or 25% of their sales now is in the hunting space because I've just been pushing them so much and everyone's catching on to it, right? Like I think like Shed Crazy's using them. I think Gritty's using them now. Like Brian Barney's using them. Like it's just like like if you're not using a kill bag for hunting, like you need to.
yeah.
It's so
That's
worth it.
I mean, that's an awesome idea. Like you
So
said, then you don't have that extra. I mean, because you always have an extra cute cooler that's taking up half your truck bed
dude, yeah.
that has
I,
nothing in it until you kill something.
if you kill something.
If you
I
kill
mean, no
something.
offense, like, right? So,
Yeah, I mean,
like, and then they would say you're going on a hunt, like, so you have 2 elk tags. Now you're bringing 2 160s or 3 160s to do it, right? Like,
yeah.
especially if you're deboning, dude, one of those 60-inch kill bags will do everything you need it to do.
Yeah, that's good. I'm gonna get on board with that for sure. I
Yeah,
like that
and they
idea.
make the like I'm not I mean I am pumping them, but like the owner of Killbacks is actually Tricer's designer. Um, and like I've gone back and forth with them for a long time now on different designs. They have some new stuff coming out. Like they have a perfect flying bag coming out after some of the stuff I've been doing with them. But they've like mastered the zipper. Their zipper's better than everything else. They're fully waterproof, so you can like roll that thing around and water won't come out of it.
Oh,
Versus some of the
nice.
fishing bags will. It has a drain in it. Like it's just like they've perfected it. They've been going through designs for like the last like 5 years, 3 years, and changing it up. I think they finally got it like mastered towards like this thing is like perfect, and they've got the right sizes now to where I can do my stuff. So
Well,
I'm a
nice to
big
throw. You could throw your gear in there too before you go. Some of it,
oh dude,
obviously,
100%. Like I
if
throw my
it's
that's what I'm
clean, and
saying when
then
I fly. When
your
I
gear's in
fly,
a
yeah,
watertight place
yeah,
too, which
oh
is sweet.
100%.
Yeah,
When I fly, I'll throw my everything in the kill bag, right? And then it's only one carry on, right? And then do
yeah,
that, and then pick it up, and then when I come back, I'm bringing back two not carry ons, whatever. You know what I mean? The
yeah.
check
No,
bags.
check
There you go.
bags. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because
yeah, yeah.
I actually did that twice this year. I did the antelope and I did access here in Hawaii with the flying with the meat thing. And there's something to be said about it. Like I like driving. Like I've got my truck all set up now. I got the big camper now to sleep in the back of it. And
Hmm.
there's something to be said about flying into a place and not burning 3 days of travel time, right? Or 2 days of travel
Yeah,
time.
for
Like
sure.
flying in, renting a truck. Especially like we did antelope last year, and I was like, dude, we were done the first day. Like if I would have drove up here, it would have been 3 days of driving to Wyoming from San Diego, and 2 hours of hunting, and then driving home.
Well, especially I don't know, getting a little older. I'm 41 now. Like when I was younger, I'd bomb out to Idaho and not stop or stop at a truck stop and sleep
Mm,
for 2 hours. And for me, that's like a 26-hour drive.
yeah,
And doing that by myself, like I can't do that anymore.
dude, it's like my
It's
boys.
brutal. Then you get there and you're tired before you even start your hunt, and you know taking a little bit more time staying and maybe flying and take a little bit less taxing on yourself, I guess.
Yeah, like I'm gonna do bears in Idaho and Montana this year, like back to back. And I don't know if I'm gonna fly up or drive up. I'll probably
Yeah.
drive up to have my stuff there, but I'm tempted just to fly up and be like, hey Brad, pick me up. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Because like there's really, it's just there's something to be said about the drive. But I do enjoy the driving. I do enjoy like so I this is kind of a fun like tips and trips podcast, right? So all year this year I ran the canvas cutters, which I
Okay.
love. So that way I could drive because I don't like doing hotels because like my truck at all times has like 40 grand worth of gear in it, right? I mean, potentially like with like, let's say I'm going on a hunt and I want to showcase off BTXs and rifles. And I've got extra things I don't even use on the hunts a lot of times in my truck so I can get pictures and content. So leaving that in like Meth City, Utah, or you're whenever you stop, like you're always stopping in like Meth Town, USA, right? Like it's
Yeah,
like not
100%.
not the greatest like town, right? Because you know some of these towns, and I don't like to leave my truck outside, right? So then
Yeah,
I'm like,
I've had two instances in the last couple years where I stayed at a hotel, and luckily I didn't have all my hunting gear in my truck, but I stayed at a hotel, woke up, went out to my truck, and there were like three other vehicles in the parking lot that got broken into, smashed windows. Luckily, it wasn't me, but it's just eye opening. It's like,
yeah, well, the
yeah,
people know
like you
when,
said, you could have $50,000 worth of gear in your truck, and all of a sudden it's all gone.
yeah, dude, and tweakers have a sense for like when hunting season is. They just know like it's time to break in. I've had my truck broken into in my driveway here in San Diego. Um, it wasn't broken into. I left the doors unlocked like an idiot. Luckily, I took my 15s and my rifle out, but I went out to my truck. This is like years ago, like probably 10 years ago, and I didn't have a ton of money. And like they stole like 6 grand worth of stuff. They took my whole backpack with all my stuff in it. And I just got my gear together. My insurance covered it, but it cost a $2,500 deposit, right?
Yeah,
So it was just like I never anymore will do that. And you hear about it all the time. Like we do all the time. Like people are like, hey man, this guy's stuff got broken into, and we'll like donate a tripod. Or, you hear about it in the industry all the time.
oh
I mean,
yeah,
dude, even like Aaron Schneider's freaking bull got stolen out of his backyard last year or
yeah.
2 years ago,
I
right?
saw
Like
that. That was a
people
couple of
are
years ago.
People suck, man. So what I do now, like this year, what I did was like the canvas cutters. I have 3 of those. And so I just pull off. I used to sleep under a tarp, but the problem is you get wind and stuff and it just sucks. So the
Yeah.
canvas cutter, you just roll that sucker out, climb the canvas cutter and sleep next to your truck. And you can kind of pull off anywhere. As long as you have Onyx, you can pull off anywhere. When you're driving to these places, there's public land everywhere. Pull off, sleep in the canvas cutter. But I'm up in my game this year. I just bought a brand new truck for the first time. I was driving the same 20-year-old beater truck. I don't know if you've seen the pic videos of it. Like the bumpers were all busted in. I ended up convincing my nephew for $1,000. But I bought a brand new truck this year, and I just got an Oro Designs, which is kind of similar to like a Go Fast camper.
Okay. Yep.
Um, and I did it just for hunting. So it's got like you literally I can pop a thing into a bed in 10 seconds. Like, you stand up, pop it open. And it's a
That's slick.
fully enclosed aluminum box that's locked all the way around. I put a cage on one side where I can open the door up, put my rifles in there, and lock that down, rifle or a bow. So it's just that way my guns are like locked up on like in their own compartment on the side of the truck.
Oh,
Um,
sweet.
and then I'm with my stuff all the time, right? And I
Yeah.
can, and like for me, like I don't know about you, but like I'm a meth head when it comes to, like, these drives. I'm always like, just go another hour, just go another hour. It's like you pull into a hotel at midnight and you're sleeping for 4 hours or 5 hours and get back
I
in the
know.
truck, and it's like they don't give you like a half night rate. Like, you're still paying
No.
$140, and I'm a
Right.
cheapskate. Like, so sleeping next to the truck is nice
And that's hotels have gotten a lot more expensive. It
too.
seems like since after COVID, like traveling during COVID was awesome. You could go stay in the nicest place in town for like $40, but
Yeah,
now it's just gotten insane. So yeah,
yeah,
that can add a lot of expense onto your trip too. But I'm the same way. It's like just keep going, just keep going, just keep going, and then yeah, 1 in the morning, you're like, I want to sleep for a couple hours. Not worth staying in a hotel. So I'm with
yeah.
you on that.
Yeah, I like that. Honestly, I don't know if you're running those yet, but the canvas cutters. Only problem with the canvas cutters, they are pretty big. So if you're running like 3 of you guys, it's kind of taking some truck space up.
Yeah,
But dude, just pull one of those things out and you can sleep right there. And there's like literally like the best night's sleep you'll have in the backcountry is in a canvas cutter. Like, they're
yeah.
4 inches thick. Like, they're so comfy, man. Like, they're rad. So I highly recommend that. If you don't have a camper shell, do that. Um, but I do recommend just putting a camper on your truck to keep your gear locked up, because just people suck, man.
Yeah, I'm looking at a new truck probably this year too, so maybe I will see what that looks like to invest in that. That might be the ticket.
Yeah, I'll have to see some pictures of mine, the Oru one. They're in San Diego. I know Go Fast Campers is probably closer to you. There's a few guys that do it. The reason I went with Oru is they're right here in town.
Yeah.
Um, but Go Fast Campers is they're another one that does the same things, and it's just really nice, man, be able to pop that sucker up. I mean, it is on my truck all the time, but like for what I do, like I think I spent like 70 days in the field this year.
Yeah.
Just in the field for hunts, not including like all my other stuff. So probably well over 100 days with all my like tack events and stuff where I'm driving. It's just really nice to have, be able to pop up. And for me, like my style of hunting has kind of been changing a little bit. Like, I want to be more mobile. Like, I
Mhm.
used to be like very much like I need to be able to, I want to backpack as far into the spot as I can, or I do a base camp. Well, I am doing that, but I like the idea, like with the canvas cutters or like the bed camper. I could pack up real quick and move 30 miles, right? And do that, right? Or like I'm going to do a bunch of, we're making all these predator tripods. So I'm going to do some trips over to Arizona this year where I'll be just driving public land, hunting coyotes for the day, pop my tent up, sleep real quick, pop it down, move, keep going. You know what I mean? So it's all right there. It's really nice to have the ability to, like, I like running like wall tents and stuff, but they're a lot of work. Like,
They're
I
a
slept on a
lot.
wall. Like, they're a lot. Like, I have a 16 by 12. I didn't use it once this year. I just
Yeah.
used it. I
I
just don't
have
use it.
it's a Cabela's wall tent. I forgot what it's
Okay.
called, the Anorak or something like that. And it's a big one. It's like a 12 by 12 or something. But I mean, it's been sitting in my garage for the last few years because it's just to put it up takes so long.
It's
And then again, you're not mobile. You can't just hop in your truck and
You're
go. And
stuck.
it seems like everybody, in the industry, while it was really popular for a while, obviously it still is to backpack way in. And that's great if you have a spot to go to. But like I said, last year me and two of my buddies went on an elk hunt in Wyoming, and we packed in 7 miles, stayed there for 4 days.
Mhm.
We had our hot tents, everything. We had a great campsite, but 4 days we didn't see an elk.
Yep.
So why
Exactly.
are we going to sit here? So we've just popped out and got mobile. Same thing. Either pitch a tent or we sit in a hotel one night or whatever, just to find different spots in that unit to go. But I think, like you said, staying mobile and just being able to quickly pop up camp and move is great. I do another elk hunt in South Dakota, excuse me. Same thing. You're just bombing around in your truck, and wherever I end up at the end of the day, that's where camp is. Like I
Yeah,
don't have a set spot to go back to.
yeah. Corey Jacobson's big on that too. He kind of gave me the idea for it, and it just worked out like on my elk hunt this year in Colorado. Like we were backpacking, but we were also truck camping. So like having the canvas cars, we can move around, sleep where we were, backpack in, hunt, come back out, or setting up instead of a tent up. You know what I mean? Because you're in Colorado, there's inclement weather. Like you're not going to just go sleep under a tarp. You
Right.
need something to sleep in. So the canvas cars were clutch for that. And now my truck. But versus the wall tent, what I've switched to is I have the big 16 by 12 Davis tent. And like, if my father in law's going, like he's 76 years old, like I'm setting that thing up. We're going to do the experience of the grandkids.
Oh
We're going to
yeah,
put up there's something cool about having my stove going and being in there together, right?
for
But
sure.
what I switched to now, and I need to have them on the podcast, I love this tent, is the Kodiak canvas, like the 8 by 12 they have. It's
Okay.
like the spring tent. And so it's like a canvas tent, but it just goes one pole on the top. I can't remember what they call it. And it pops up, and I run just a little buddy heater in there, and you can run 4 dudes in that all day long and have a ton of space, and it's easy to set up. So
Yeah,
I
nice.
switched over to that thing instead of doing the my big wall tent, and I really like that Kodiak canvas
Yeah.
for truck
Okay.
camping.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I mean, like I said, my wall tent is ridiculously heavy and
Oh,
takes
and
a
they're
long time to
huge,
set
dude.
up, and it's just like it's going to take up half my truck bed if I want to take it. And
Hmm.
I don't know. I really need to have a spot where I know I'm going to be for a long time if I'm going to do that. But it is comfortable. I got a big stove in it, and it's nice to have that wood heat in there. But I think
Yeah,
even something like Kafaru Teepee, I would
yeah.
probably rather switch to in a situation like that just because of the space. Um, and those little titanium stoves seem to work pretty dang good. So,
They do, and I have a Seek Outside TP, and I've got a Kafaru like single man hot tent as well.
yeah, I have
Um,
that one. What's that tarp?
that tarp,
What's
dude,
it
that super
called?
tarp.
Yeah, super tarp with the
That's the
annex.
sickest tarp I've ever
Yeah,
had. I love that super tarp, man. Like for like a single person shelter or even a 2 person like no stove shelter,
yeah,
that thing is rad. So I'm a big fan of having tarps on me in the backcountry,
yeah.
and that Kafaru super tarp just checks the boxes for me.
Yeah, I've used that quite a bit as a heated tent. And once you get it dialed in with a stove and like get all of your wood and stuff ready in there, you can kind of keep it hot throughout the night. If you wake up, just fire it up again. And obviously in the morning, get it all nice and toasty before you have to get out and get your stuff on. But I've also used it, in September when it's
Mhm.
90 degrees
That's when I
out.
used
And
it.
then I just got a little, God, I don't even know what brand makes it. It's a backpacking brand, but it's basically just like a bug net. Like it weighs nothing. It's like, this big, weighs less
Mhm.
than a pound. And so you can have your bag in there, just use the tarp as a tarp, no annex. And then you have that bug tent, which if you're in somewhere where there's mosquitoes, like it'll be brutal if you don't have that.
Yeah, dude, or flies, dude. The flies drive me
Yeah.
nuts. Little
Yeah.
little gnats flying around and buzzing on you, dude. Oh, you know what I got in September this year in Colorado was crickets, and they were biting crickets, dude. Like we were just
Oh
infested.
man.
We were in a burn, and like we were just infested with crickets the whole time. They jump on you and they freaking bite you, dude. They were a trip. Everything if you threw like a piece of like a bar down, they would eat your bar. Whatever you put down, they would eat it. Like they were just like freaking
I've
locusts,
never
man.
even I've never even heard of that before. That sounds
Dude,
like something you'd never think of that all of a sudden you're dealing
dude,
with.
we were just like infested with crickets. Like it was in one area. So for like 4 days, we were just in these crickets the whole time. It was gnarly.
Yeah, that's brutal.
So, tell me about Tito. Like, when did you start Tito? What's the deal with it?
So started in 2016. Basically, how the whole thing started, and I've told this story before, but was out on a hunt in western North Dakota, mule deer hunt. Buddy killed a nice big velvet mule deer. On our way back, stopped at a taxidermist to drop off the deer, and got to talking with him for a while. And he was using just like a medical grade handle that accepted, the blades that everybody's using now. And he
Mm-hmm.
used them for his taxidermy work. And then he was like, I actually use this out in the field too. He's like, so I just have whatever the little plastic or metal handle, and a handful of blades. And he's like, it weighs nothing. I throw it in my pack, like, you know, off I go. I have sharp blades. And I was like, well, that's cool. So I went home, ordered something, probably whatever the cheapest thing I could find at the time, like off Amazon. The rest of my hunts that year used it, and just sitting, glassing and stuff, thinking about it, I was like, well, this is awesome idea, but it could be better and cooler and more suited for the outdoor industry. So basically just downloaded like a free CAD program and started making a design and hooked up with a local,
This is
machine.
like before 3D printing and stuff too, I
Yeah,
assume, right? So
right.
you're not like just 3D printing out stuff to try and figure it out.
No, just hooked up with a local machine shop and was like, hey, can you guys make this? So just made the first one, and it worked well. Used that for a year, um, polished it up a little bit. Got a few different iterations of it. And then went to market, and luckily I got it in some of the right people's hands. And that was when social media was really, I don't know, easier, friendlier for
Oh,
us guys.
dude. Yeah, it's
and
so hard now. It's so hard.
and just hooked up with some of the right people that helped me promote it. Aaron Snyder was a big one. Got him right away, and which, kind of cool. All of a sudden, the people I've been looking at on social media, reading
Dude,
articles in Eastman's, all of a sudden I'm on the phone talking to him, which was,
isn't
which
it a
was
trip?
awesome. And then it just
It's the
kind of
biggest trip.
blew up from there, and just have been making new designs, making the fixed blade knives, and we've been rolling since then. So
Because you guys are like, correct me if I'm wrong, you are like kind of the first guys to do the skeletonized fixed blade or replaceable blade handle deal, right?
yeah, so it was the
'Cause
first
a lot of people are
fixed,
doing it now, but you guys are the
yeah,
first.
the first fixed handle, I guess,
Yeah.
replacement blade, because I think some of the other folding companies had been out there, but I looked at that right away, and I mean, I've tried to even gut a deer as a kid with a folding knife, and then you got an hour of cleaning every
So I
day
want to talk about I
after
want to talk
you're
about that right
done with
now.
it.
So I've been up until these knives here, I was a big Havalon guy. I'm embarrassed how gross my knife is.
Yeah,
You cannot get that clean. Like my knife
yeah,
has like fat from like 6 different animals in it still. Like the little chunks are in there. Like you try and get it out. Like it's just that's the hard thing about a folding knife. It just gets in there and you can't get the stuff out of it,
yeah. I
right?
mean,
Like
you
I need to
have
like
to totally disassemble it to clean it
and
properly,
I
and
never do
like,
that because I just throw it back in my backpack and I go back out. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
my knife is gross still. And then
and
oh, my
then
knife
you're
is gross still.
yeah, you're just asking for bacteria and all kinds of nasty
Yeah, I
stuff to
know.
grow on
Don't
there.
tell my
So,
wife. Hopefully she doesn't listen to
um,
this podcast. Yeah.
but
So yeah,
yeah, that's how it all started, and off and running. So it's been good. We've been growing pretty good year after year, and I guess back to the social media thing. That's been tough now. I mean, we grew really fast for a while, and then they kind of throttled everything that was in the hunting space or knife
mhm.
space or whatever. They want to call everything a weapon and shut you
Yeah, dude.
down. So it's been tough on that end of it
We're
recently.
shut down like once a week. People are always like, "Oh, you liberal, why are you using a stick in your video?" I'm like, "Because if I put a gun in here, like nobody will see my ad or my reel or anything." So we constantly every week have to like go like they flag my tripods all the time, just a tripod. They just assume it's a rifle. Like it's all done by bots. Like one thing that sucks for me, like as like we have 16,000 followers, but like if I would have gone in 2016, I'd have like 150,000 followers right now. Like it was
Right.
so much easier to get followers. You almost have to pay for followers now to get followers as well, which is really hard.
Right.
Like on my posts, like 90% of people who see my posts are going to be like my followers, not new followers. Like they make it to where you can't like,
That's
man,
exactly what it is. And you start looking at the analytics, and it's just like, you're just preaching to the choir every day. You're
yeah,
you're
same people are seeing
reaching
it.
the people who are already looking at your stuff anyhow.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I mean, it sounds like they're trying to make some changes. I mean,
I
I've
saw
seen some posts
Zuckerberg.
recently that supposedly we can post this stuff and people can look at it now. I mean, our side of the world looks at it as a tool, which it really is, and
Mhm.
there's other people who look at it as something else. So
As a
it's a little
evil.
frustrating, to say the
Yeah,
least.
man, it's I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's funny to see Zuckerberg come out. Like, I don't know, maybe he's honest, like come out and like say, like, hey, we're gonna be like for one, like 4 years ago, we're not censoring anybody. I just come out being like, we're gonna stop censoring you. So like obviously you were censoring us because like I mean, like
Yeah,
I know people like Courtney Preet, man, like her outdoor journey. I don't know if you follow her at all. She had like 35,000 followers and lost her account for no reason for being like
just
an awesome woman in the hunting industry, and they
yeah,
freaking shut Courtney down. And that was really frustrating to watch that happen. It happens all the time. And like we have like Tricer has burner accounts because like I guess according to my media team, like we're controversial, I guess, a little bit some stuff we do, and like you need to have backup accounts because you can lose this. Like you're
yeah.
kidding me? Like we're paying a ton of money every month to Meta for ads. It's like doesn't matter, man. They'll shut you down and you won't get it back. You just lose your account and just like that, and like all the work you put into it, they'll just shut you down and be like later.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to see, and I don't know, like person like you or me or whoever is trying to, work hard for the American dream and, run a small business, and you have this awesome tool, and it just seems like there's somebody sitting in office somewhere that has nothing to do with any of this stuff and is not doing what we're doing, is just clicks a button and all of a sudden, you know, you ruin it all. So
Dude, it's not even a person anymore though. It's a freaking AI
right.
robot. That's
Yeah.
the trip. Is
That
it's like
that's
this
somebody designed, I suppose, but
somebody
yeah.
designed, and this thing's out there. It's like nope, 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 nope. And you've got some liberal in there telling them what this is all evil here, right? And then we're
Yeah.
gonna shut it down. I ran. I did some Trump stuff this year, and dude, they did not like that. Don't talk about Trump on social media because they will get you. It was funny. Like they bumped my ads up like 5x cost on my Trump ads. Like it was pretty funny.
That's
How fast
crazy.
it happened, and they shut a bunch of them down for being political. Blah blah blah. Whatever.
Well, I guess, I mean, not to be too political, but it seems like the pendulum swung so far one way. Um, it looks to me like it's starting to swing back the other way.
Yeah, or just to
After
the middle.
after this election, it just seemed like everybody kind of had a big sigh of relief, to be honest with you. And I think some people who you would think were way on the left are probably farther, a little closer to how we think than you would.
Oh, you're seeing it
You would
right now,
imagine.
dude. Like I live in California. I'm watching LA burn right now.
I
And
know
all
it's
these people
insane.
liberals are like out there like, what? We have no water. What the heck? It's like, we've been saying that forever. Talk to the farmers.
Yeah,
They don't trap any of our water. So we get a ton of rain and then we let it all go in the ocean because there's like a couple of these little fish. And now we have no water to take these people, right? We don't do any controlled burns. Like when San Diego 20 years ago burnt, the whole city burnt down. I mean, the whole town, like county burnt down, like all the hills. It's so due for it. We do no prescribed burning here. We do no preventative maintenance. Like California has this hands-off approach,
yeah,
and same thing with like our lions and stuff. We can't hunt lions. And it's like it's gonna burn, and everything's gonna be upset. And now LA is burning down because they do no prescribed burns, nothing to prepare for it. They hired a freaking DEI lesbian fire chief just because she's a lesbian, not because she's qualified, right? Like I have family members who left LA Fire Department because they're like, I can't work here anymore. They went to
yeah.
Riverside Fire Department because it's like it's that bad. This is like last year, and the priorities are so backwards, right? It's like your priority should be on like getting good firefighters, not like DEI, right? Or
I mean, it's a
it's so stupid.
pretty
Yeah,
important job, right? We want somebody
yeah,
who's qualified. I mean, I don't care who you are as long as you're qualified, right?
yeah,
That's the thing, and we've seen that. I mean, you saw the attempted assassination on Trump. Like those people weren't qualified. It's clear.
dude,
You watch
no
those
way.
videos, and it's comical, and it's like that's a pretty important position, right? Like you can't just put somebody in there because they fit a box. Like they got to be qualified. Um,
Yeah, dude,
it's insane. But
it's insanity, dude. And like, yeah, like you look at so this fire chief, I don't know on this thing. Her like she has posts out there like, my goal is to make the fire department more equal, blah 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 blah. And it's like your goal should be the safety of the citizens. That's it.
yeah,
Like that's your only goal. Like there's nothing. It's like when I send my kid to school, your goal should be teach my kid math, reading, and arithmetic, right? Like not about all this other stuff, right? And it's
yeah.
just so backwards. And California is the head of that, right? And like, I'm sorry to say it, everybody listening, like, as goes California, goes everybody else, right? Like,
Well,
people kind of,
we're pretty close over here. So
yeah. So it's just like, Yeah, it's scary, man. You're seeing it now. Like, you're seeing a lot of people come out and be like, it's funny because they'll post it like these like celebrities will post them like, I don't want to be too MAGA, but this is ridiculous. I can't believe this. You know,
Yeah.
oh, this, and this. You know what I mean? And these fires are probably started by whatever, man. Just kind of getting on a tangent. So anyway,
No.
you started Tyto Knives. Um, you've been rolling now for that's a good run. You're going for 8 years and you're growing
Yeah.
year over year.
Yeah, we've been growing year over year. It's been good. There's been challenges, which I'm sure you're seeing as you're running a business too. Advertising obviously has been a bit of a challenge for us. Um, you know, we've tried doing advertising in print, and just some of that stuff. It's just hard to see what you get for a return, right?
That's one of the hardest things, dude. Like
So you can
sponsoring
go dump a bunch of
forums and
money into a magazine or something, and like, how am I going to know? Like
yeah.
you're really just it's a shot in the dark on knowing what you're getting back from something like that.
Well, dude, same thing with influencers, honestly. Like,
Yeah,
you're kind of like, am I getting anything back? Like, I don't
I
know.
mean, unless you have like a promo code or something like that that they're using and you can kind of track. I mean,
Yeah.
we've done some of that stuff, but no, it's been good. I mean, this year we've really focused on some of our in-house manufacturing stuff rather than focusing on some new products, which we'll see here in 2025 that we're working on. Um, but yeah, it's been good. We've been growing, and it's a fun deal. So.
Are you full time, Tito?
I am not. I have a regular day job as well. So
Okay.
luckily, I have some good people to help me with Tito to relieve some of my time. So I'm I'm a pretty busy guy at this point. My I guess full time job is I'm a sales rep for petroleum equipment. So we sell products to people who build gas stations and fueling systems and that kind of stuff. But that I kind of make my own schedule, which is nice. So it opens up some time for me. And then, like I said, I got two kids. My 8-year-old, I'm coaching 3 of his hockey teams right now. So staying busy doing that, and not out in the outdoors as much as I used to be. But I guess that's part of growing up and part of that time of life for me right now. So
We homeschool. We have 5 kids, and my wife we're in like this co-op thing, and they got to go to a skating rink in San Diego. It's the first time my kids have ever seen ice. It was hilarious. We're
no, that's
taking
awesome. It's actually hockey's growing big time in California.
it is
Actually,
my
all over the
yeah,
nation, but California's got some really good programs from what
my
I've heard.
partner's kid is doing hockey here in San Diego. He's like, he's doing hockey. Yeah, yeah, he's doing hockey, ice hockey. We we're going to Sheep Show next week. It'll be my first time my son's ever seen snow. He's 5 years old. He's never seen snow in his life, dude. Like we're still like I'm wearing a hoodie right now. It's about as much as you can see me wear. You know, we
Yeah.
just I don't do it. I don't know how you guys do it. Man, I went back to North Dakota to go visit Shields a couple of weeks ago, and it was like -10.
Oh
I
yeah.
was like, holy! We were in Fargo, right? Which is right by you guys, right? I don't know where you are in
Yeah,
Minnesota, but
it's about 3 hours northwest of us.
so I was just
So
like, oh my gosh! You walk outside and you feel like you're like every just get punched in the face, just like sucks everything out of you. I was like, how do you do this?
you get used to it. I mean, it's kind of like I have some relatives that live like in Phoenix, and I've
Okay,
talked to them about it. It's like it's kind of the same as it being 110 degrees, right? You're
yeah,
like you're not outside for very long, but
yeah.
you get used to it. Like single digits or even in the teens, like if it's not windy, you can be outside. Like you just dress for it and off you go, and it's
Do
not
it.
too bad. But when it gets way negative, it's pretty brutal. Last winter for us was crazy. It was like 50 degrees all winter, and we never got any snow, which
Really?
is unheard of. No one's seen that for as long as I can remember, or even some of the old folks that I know. So, but we'll see. It's pretty cold and snowing here right now. But
Yeah, I see some storms coming through. So, dude, we always end these things with a like a hunting story.
okay.
So, any kind of hunting story, your best deer, your smallest deer, your first deer, your grandpa's deer, doesn't matter. Sheep
Uh,
doesn't matter. Just give us a
We'll
campfire
go.
Story.
We'll talk about this mule deer behind me. So,
That's a good buck.
actually, I actually wrote an article last year. It got published last year in Eastman's about it. But so I guess I won't say the state, but it's in the Badlands area.
Okay,
um,
kind of gives it up.
it gives it up a little bit, but there's a couple that it could be. Um, So yeah, I just spot that I've been hunting since college, archery hunting. Worked a lot finding good areas and finding good deer. So went out opening. Actually, I had scouted like in July, found this buck, and then went opening week for 9 days. So it was like September, maybe August 31st through September 8th. Um, with a couple buddies out there.
Chasing them in velvet at that point.
Yeah, they're in velvet. They usually start in velvet, like the first half, and then they start to kind of shed throughout that week. So hunted hard, saw this deer 5 or 6 times and just couldn't get on him. So hunted with 3 or 4 guys. We kind of separate and go do our own thing. But had been watching him, had some other opportunities, had an opportunity at a really big 3x3 that I got super close on. I was probably snuck to 12 yards. And when he stood, I could see his head looking straight at me. But when he stood up, he was behind a big pine tree and ended up not getting a shot. So that was a bummer. But that was my best opportunity during that week. Came back by myself in October. I think I ended up killing him on October 26th.
With the rifle?
Nope, with archery equipment,
With
just
archery.
an archery tag. So came back. We ended up staying in a little cabin and then going out from there to public land. Anyways, stayed in the cabin, got there on the 25th. It was snowing, hunted a different area where I knew this buck wasn't. Got up the next morning, still dark, had snowed probably an inch and a half. Hiked my 3 miles out to my little glassing knob and sat down. And on my way out there, walked across some mountain lion tracks, which was pretty interesting. So I was like, well, this will throw another little dynamic into my hunt. Anyways, sat down on my glassing knob, spotted him up. He was starting to chase does already, October 26th. To get from my glassing spot down to where he was is it's that butte country, that Badlands butte country. And it's just like straight down. You look down and you're like, every time I go down, I'm like, I don't know how you even get down here.
The
But
dirt's breaking below your feet and just
you
sliding out.
just
Yeah.
you just pick your path down. Yeah. I know I have my spot where I get down there. I've hunted that area quite a bit. And picked my way down, and at that time, there's probably 2 inches of snow, and it was in the teens in the morning, pretty cold. Got down to where he was, chasing does. So I kind of came up over a butte, and he was down on the other side chasing does, probably 15 does, and there's 2 other bucks. Just got into a good spot. I got pinned down for like 35 minutes with a doe just staring at me. And I just stood there, just was like kneeling in a really awkward position. It was just brutal. And it was cold. Waited her out until she relaxed. And then he came out chasing a doe. He had no idea I was there. Just stopped. This is a longer shot. Drew back. It felt good. Let her fly. Made a perfect shot on him. And he just bounded up. You see those mule deer bounding. Like on a second or third bound, you could tell his legs were real weak. So he just topped over, gave him a half an hour, and there he was. Cut him up, took pictures, cut him up, and then it had started to get warm. So it was probably 11 o'clock or so, and that snow started to melt. So I packed him up in my pack. Obviously, I had the cape, all the meat, and then getting back out of that hole was probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Because it's all slippery and muddy.
Because that snow started melting on that, that butte gumbo stuff, and it was brutal getting out
Your
of there.
Your boots are like high heels now. You got like 4
exactly. You take one step up, slide, 3 steps back, 1 step up, just clinging to every little
just covered in
bush.
mud. You're all just covered in mud. Everything.
There was a couple times where I was like, should I just stitch this pack and get myself out of here? But no, got him back up, and once I got out, it's a nice, easy ridge walk back. So, but walk back, and then you got to full mule deer on your pack and you know there's a mountain lion in the area. Kind of forgot about it till I went back over those tracks. But nope, made her back, and that's kind of the story. But solo mule deer, and that was fun.
So I can see 5 on his left. What does he got on his right?
4, and then he's got brow tines too.
Yeah, he got brown tie. He's a good buck, man. What is he, like 170s? 170 something?
Yeah, I think a little bit north of that, maybe 180. I haven't put a tape on him.
He's a really good buck, man. He's heavy, got freaking awesome G2s. Like people who are listening, not watching, it's a buck most of you guys throw an arrow out, that's for sure. It's a good buck.
He's a pretty good one. I got one other one here. Let's see if I can show him to you. That's pretty good.
Oh yeah, that buck's freaking what, 28, 30 wide?
Yeah, he's a good one too.
In velvet, that's a stud buck. It's awesome, dude. Well, Luke Johnson, Tyto Knives. I learned how to pronounce it. Where can we find you guys? I'm a big fan of your guys' stuff. Where can we find you?
www.tytoknives.com is our website, and then Tyto Blades on Instagram.
Tyto Blades on Instagram. So, Luke, that was an awesome podcast, dude.
Let's do it again. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. We had some cool conversations about, everything. So
everything.
Great to chat with you.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, have a great one.